بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to have the second and final part on Imam Javad alayhi salam. And in this part we talk about martyrdom of Imam alayhi salam and some of the spiritual teachings of Imam and spiritual examples of Imam alayhi salam. Ma'mun died in 218 after Hijrah, and after him his brother Al-Mu'tasim became the Caliph. Al-Mu'tasim 2 years later in 220 called Imam Javad alayhi salam to Baghdad, to the capital. According to the book Isbatul Wasiyya, Fadl, who was daughter of Ma'mun, we talked about her, and wife of Imam Jawad alayhi salam, because she had some hatred, some jealousy, so cooperated with her brother for killing Imam alayhi salam. Imam Jawad alayhi salam had another wife, and Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam is from another wife, and she had this jealousy, she had also hatred, and maybe from the beginning she didn't love, but as Ma'mun forced Imam al-Jawad, maybe he forced also his daughter for this marriage. So her brother Ja'far ibn Ma'mun gave some poisoned grapes to her, and she gave to Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. So in the year 220, Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam became martyr. So the same year that Al-Mu'tasim called Imam to Baghdad, he became Khalifa, as I said, in 218, and in the year 220 he called Imam to Baghdad. It is also very noteworthy that in the year 215, when Imam went to Baghdad, he didn't introduce any wasi, any successor to himself. But when in 220 Imam was called to Baghdad, he appointed his wasi, his successor. And this shows that Imam knew that there is no return in this trip. When Imam alayhi salam became martyr in the year 220, when he was just 25 years old, we see that history shows Fadl was not abandoned by Abbasids, was not rejected for what she did. Indeed, she was very close to the Abbasid system, and she lived in the palace afterwards. So this was a kind of internal plan of the Abbasids, and they were involved in killing of many of their opponents, including some of our Imams alayhimus salam. So after Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam was killed, because he was killed in Baghdad, so he was buried in some of the graves of Quraysh in Baghdad, which is Kazemain today. So that was where there were graves of Quraysh, and he was buried behind his grandfather Imam al-Kazim alayhi salam. Now, some of the very brief discussion, Imam Javad alayhi salam deserves much more discussion, but very brief discussion about his spiritual legacy and some of his teachings. Muhammad ibn Sahl ibn Yasa al-Qummi. He says, I was near Mecca and then went to Medina, and I wanted to request Imam al-Jawad when I met him to give me some clothes, some of his clothes, or some clothes anyway, for tabarruk. He says, I didn't get opportunity to make this request when I met him, and I said goodbye. But then I thought, now that I didn't manage to mention to Imam in person, maybe I should write a letter to Imam alayhi salam and ask him. So he says, I went to masjid, said 2 rak'ah salat, and then asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for khair, istikhara, in literal sense, talabul khair. So he said 100 times I did istikhara, not meaning that 100 times he opened the Quran or did tasbih. It means 100 times asked for istikhara, astaghfirullah. And then I thought, okay, if after this in my mind, if it is, clear for me that I should write a letter, I will. If not, I don't write a letter, because we have this in hadith that do this salat and then ask for khair and then see what comes to your heart. If you want more detailed discussions, you can refer to the series we had on jurisprudential rules, al-Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyya, when we talked about Qa'idatul Qur'ah, we talked about istikhara. So he says, I did this salat and then asked for khair from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but after that in my heart I inclined towards not sending the letter. So he says, I tore the letter and I didn't send the letter. Then I left Medina. On my way, a messenger reached me and reached our caravan and asked for me. He said, where is Muhammad ibn Sahl Qummi? So they showed him. Then he brought from his pack 2 pieces of clothes and said, my master Al-Imam Jawad has given these 2 for you, 2 soft and nice clothes. Ahmad ibn Muhammad says that when Muhammad ibn Sahl died, I did ghusl of him, and then we used these 2 clothes which were gifted by Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam as his kafan. So without writing letter to Imam of course knew of this, and Imam was so kind and generous that he himself sent these without him requesting. Imam alayhi salam was very much known for his generosity. It is said that, the reference is also in the book, that Imam alayhi salam said, whoever benefits his brother for the sake of Allah, Allah will make a house for him in heaven. And he himself was practicing this, benefiting brothers and sisters in faith. Once a person asked Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam to gift him proportionate to his muru'ah. Muru'ah means a kind of novelty. So he said, according to your novelty, give me some gift. Imam said, I am not able to do that. Because if Imam wanted to give as suits him and his novelty, he should give maybe endless. So he said, I'm not able to give it that much. So he said, give me as much as you think you should, give to someone like me. And then Imam gave 200 golden coins to him. So imagine if Imam wanted to give according to his own generosity, we should have given, whole, golden coins of the world to this person. And because, he asked Imam to do so, so Imam had to be, honest. Here there is no place for humbleness and say, okay, 500 dinars or 1,000 dinars, because then people think this is the level of their novelty and generosity. Now, some beautiful hadith of Imam Javad. The first one I want to a little bit expand. In the book there's just the text, but a little bit I want to expand. Maybe you are already familiar with this hadith. So Imam Javad alayhi salam says, Man asgha ila natiqin faqad abadah. Whoever listens to a speaker, asgha ila means to listen carefully. Sometimes you hear something, sometimes you listen to something. In Arabic, sama means to hear, but istama'a or asgha ila means to listen carefully. So sometimes someone is speaking, you just hear, that's different. But sometimes you decide and listen carefully. Basically, you are happy to give your ear and heart and mind to someone to talk. Imam says, فَقَدْ عَبَدَهُ. Whoever listens carefully to someone has worshipped him or has served him. But not in the sense that becomes his God, in the sense of obedience. If this person speaks on behalf of God, then by listening to this speaker, you have worshipped or served God. But if this person is speaking on behalf of shaitan, if he says things that are not pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the listener has worshipped shaitan. Let me read the hadith and maybe a little bit expand on this. Man asgha ila natiqin faqad abadah. Whoever listens to, means listens carefully, listens with attention, with intention to a speaker. Someone who speaks. When we say a speaker, doesn't mean, for example, someone has to be on member or behind podium. Natiq, who speaks. Maybe someone speaks a few minutes. Maybe he speaks, walking with you. Faqad abadahu, has worshipped him, served him. But فَإِنْ كَانَ النَّاطِقْ عَنِ اللَّهِ, if he was speaking on behalf of Allah, فَقَدْ عَبَدَ اللَّهِ, has worshipped Allah. وَإِنْ كَانَ النَّاطِقُ يَنْتِقُ عَنْ لِسَانِ إِبْلِيسِ فَقَدْ عَبَدَ إِبْلِيسِ. But if this speaker was speaking on behalf of shaitan, has become the tongue for shaitan, then has worshipped, the listener has worshipped shaitan. So we need to be very careful about the people that we give them platform to talk or even personally. Of course, personally is also very important to be careful, but especially with those that we give platform to speak to other people, because then responsibility becomes greater. If you manage to put right people on the member, if you manage to bring right people to teach in madrasa, in a school, in community, for family, if you manage to listen to right people when they lecture, or when they talk, when they have interview, anything that needs listening, then you are worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if we fail and bring others who are just talking out of their own whims, out of ignorance, they say satanic things but in a nice and wrapped way, then we have worshipped shaitan. So we have to be very careful. This is one of the hadiths of Imam Javad alayhi salam. The next is that one person in the day of marriage said to Imam alayhi salam, he said that, my master, blessings of today for us have increased. If you look carefully, this means that the day is responsible for blessings. So you have attributed blessing to the day. Imam said, rather blessings of Allah have increased for us in this day. So we have to be so careful. Blessings or problems are not for the day, for the night, for the calendar. They are all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Blessings are from Him for His generosity and kindness. Problems can be because of us, because of other people. ما أصابكم من سيئة فمن أنفسكم. In any case, Imam said, blessings of Allah have increased. Then the person said, so what should we say about the day? Then Imam said, you can say, this is a good day, as a tafa'ul. You can say, inshallah, this day is going to be a blessed day for us. Because if you have good opinion, positive opinion, inshallah, it's very likely that it happens. Finally, the last hadith is that declaring something before it is firm and established corrupts it. Sometimes you have a plan, very good plan, but still had not materialized. You have a decision. Don't keep telling this and spreading this. Sometimes you need to consult. So you ask people who have experience, who have wisdom, taqwa, etc. for consultation. But don't announce to everyone your plan, even if you have already embarked on it, till it is established. There are different reasons. Sometimes maybe some people hear this and create problem for you. Sometimes maybe people become jealous. Sometimes there is maybe evil eye. Different things can stop you. It's better to keep a plan which has not yet completed in confidentiality. This takes us back to the quality that we mentioned in followership, that one of the qualities of good followers is that they are able to keep things confidential unless there is proper audience, proper time. They know where to share, how to share, how much to share. So this is very much related to that. Okay, I stop here. Inshallah, bi'iznillah, next week, if Allah helps, inshallah, we will meet in the retreat And so we don't have webinar as such, but inshallah we've been there retreat, and maybe for those who are not there, we can inshallah have some of the section inshallah live. I think we are going to have a majlis, if I'm not mistaken, next Saturday inshallah from the retreat, bi'idhnillah. And then inshallah we will start the life of Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أحسنتم شيخنا، جزاكم الله خيرا.
Allah يحفظكم inshallah. Bless you.